The Arizona sun was relentless that afternoon. It didn't glow, it scorched. The kind of heat that made the air hum and the ground split like brittle stone. Out there, across the vast, barren plain, a woman stumbled forward, looking half gone already. Her skirt was shredded, one sleeve missing entirely. Dust coated her skin like a second layer. Her name was Clara Hayes, 27 years old, and she'd been fleeing for her life since sunrise. Somewhere behind her, in that wavering haze, a man's voice had faded, a voice that had claimed her as his own. She didn't glance back. The sores on her feet had burst, blood stained her heels. Still, she pressed on. Stopping meant death. When she reached the top of a low hill, she spotted a small homestead, weathered and quiet, a thin wisp of smoke rising from its chimney, a flicker of hope. Her throat burned, her lips cracked, but she staggered down the slope anyway, tripping, half sliding, half crawling, until she reached a splintered fence post. Her hands gripped the rough wood. Her legs buckled. The world blurred into amber and dust. Then came a sound. Hinges groaning. A man stepped onto the porch, broad-shouldered, worn cap tilted low, face etched with years of hard living. Sam Whitaker, 50, a farmer who'd endured too many seasons. He stood still, one hand resting near the doorframe where a shotgun rested. He studied the stranger, crumpled in the dirt, barefoot, dressed in rags, eyes wide with hunger and terror. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Clara tried. "Please." Her voice broke like brittle twigs. I just need somewhere to stay." She swayed, barely holding herself up. I can work. I'll earn my keep. I can cook, clean, fix anything." His jaw clenched. "Who's chasing you?" She shook her head faintly. "No one. Not anymore." He scanned the horizon. Instinct of a man who'd lost kin because he didn't look hard enough. "You alone?" She whispered, "Just me. No one else." The silence stretched. Wind stirred the brittle grass. Clara's hands shook as she lifted the hem of her skirt, revealing a deep cut on her leg, crusted with grime. Her words came in gasps. "I'll do whatever you need. Just patch me up and give me work." Her knees gave way again and she collapsed against the porch. Dust rose like a faint cloud. Sam didn't move. Every nerve screamed caution. Strangers didn't just appear in this land. Trouble usually followed close behind. But then he saw her hands. Raw, bleeding, torn from clawing her way forward. That wasn't a trick. That was survival. He knelt, slid an arm under her shoulders, and lifted her like she was nothing. "Steady," he said softly. "You're safe for now." He carried her inside, step by careful step, and set her on a wooden chair by the hearth. The cabin smelled of pine smoke and roasted beans. Plain, but tidy. Sam grabbed a basin, poured water, tore a strip from an old cloth, and knelt beside her. When the cool water touched her skin, she flinched, biting her lip. He spoke without looking up. "Tell me your story when you got the strength. For now, don't bleed on my floor." A faint smile cracked her parched lips. "I'll do my best." He nodded. "Good. Food's coming when you can sit up straight. Then we'll see what you're worth." She opened her mouth to thank him, but no words came, only tears. Quiet, warm, unwanted, slid down her dust-streaked face. For the first time in days, maybe weeks, she wasn't running.
Outside, the wind carried only silence. No hoofbeats, no shouts, just the drone of a land that didn't care if you lived or died. Inside that small cabin, a stranger had knocked on death's door, and a farmer had opened it. Sam didn't say much after she fainted. He just sat by the table, watching the heat waves ripple across the yard. The desert had a silence that made a man dwell on things better left buried. When Clara woke, she was on a cot by the window. Her leg was bandaged with clean cloth. The scent of coffee lingered in the air. She blinked, disoriented, then saw the man across the room cleaning a shotgun with slow, steady hands. "You're up," he said. She nodded. Her voice was still hoarse. "Why'd you take me in?" He shrugged. "My land. Don't like folks dying on it." He stood, poured water into a metal cup, and set it beside her. "Drink, then tell me if someone's coming for you." Clara hesitated. Memories cut like jagged rocks, too sharp to handle. "He's gone," she whispered. Sam's eyes narrowed. "You certain?" He stepped onto the porch, scanned the horizon. An old habit. You don't survive long out here without checking who's watching. When he returned, his face had softened, just a touch. "Stay till you're healed, then we'll see." Clara stared at the cup in her hands. "I can work. I mean it." He nodded once. "You'll have to. This place chews up the idle." A soft noise came from the hallway. A girl, maybe 8, peeked around the corner, barefoot, dark hair tangled, clutching a small wooden bird. Sam turned. "Lila, say hello." The girl didn't. She just stared at Clara, eyes sharp and wary. "It's okay," Clara said gently. "You're safe." "Kids out here learn fast not to trust strangers," Sam said, rubbing his neck. "She'll come around." Clara gave a weak smile. "She's got your eyes." "That's what her ma used to say," Sam replied, voice low. He picked up the shotgun again, ending the conversation. Hours passed. The sky darkened, and the smell of stew filled the small house. Clara tried to stand, wincing but stubborn. "I can help," she said. Sam didn't look up. "You can help by not collapsing."
There was a warmth beneath his gruff tone. She couldn't tell if it was pity or respect, but it made her want to prove she was more than a burden. When the day faded to amber and the first star appeared, Sam stepped outside again, checking the horizon one last time. He'd learned something about the woman inside. She was afraid, sure, but not broken. And out here, that meant something. He didn't know it yet, but by letting her stay, he'd invited a tempest into his quiet life. And storms in this land never passed without a fight. The next morning was still, the kind of stillness that puts a man on edge. Sam was out by the shed mending a broken gate, while Clara fed the chickens with Lila nearby. The air was thick, the sun already stung their skin. Nothing seemed wrong, but something felt off. Lila tugged Clara's sleeve. "Dust," she said, pointing toward the distant ridge. Clara squinted. A lone rider moved through the heat haze, approaching slow but sure. Her heart sunk. She knew that silhouette, that hat, the way he sat in the saddle like he owned everything he saw. Sam saw it too. He straightened, wiped his hands on his trousers, and told Lila to take the bucket inside. The girl hesitated, then darted for the house. Clara stood frozen, every instinct screaming to vanish. "Go inside," Sam said quietly. "Lock the door." She swallowed hard. "He'll kill you if you get in his way." Sam gave a small, dry smile. "Then I'll stand my ground." The rider reached the fence and stopped. His horse snorted, hooves stirred dust. He looked worn, haggard, a man living off stale bread and cheap liquor too long. His eyes flicked between Sam and the house. Not evil born of strength, but the kind that festers in men who've been alone too long. A drifter with nothing left to lose and too much fear to hide. "Well now," the man said, voice like gravel, "you're keeping what's mine, farmer." "She ain't yours," Sam replied, voice steady. "Best ride back the way you came before this gets messy." He spat into the dirt. "Gonna shoot me?" Sam glanced at the house. "Got a kid inside, gun stays put. But I've got 2 hands. That's plenty." Clara's voice cut through the heat from the porch. "I'll tell the law what you did," she said, voice trembling but clear. The drifter flinched. His confidence cracked for a moment, realizing the law might chase him farther than he'd planned. The tension snapped like lightning. The man swung first. Sam dodged, drove a fist into his stomach. The sound echoed off the shed. The horse startled, dust swirled. Clara shouted from the porch as Sam grabbed the man's collar and slammed him against the fence. "Listen close," Sam said low and sharp. "Come back here and I'll drag you to the sheriff myself. Out here, they string up men for what you did. Understand?" The man coughed, spat blood, and nodded. "You'll regret this." Sam stepped back, jaw tight. "Maybe. Not today." The rider climbed onto his horse and left without another word. When the sound of hooves faded, the homestead fell quiet again. Too quiet. Clara leaned against the porch rail, shaking. Sam wiped his mouth with the back of his hand and looked at her. "You okay?" She nodded, though she wasn't. "He won't come back." Sam's voice softened. "Not unless he's got a death wish." Lila peeked from the window, her small face pale but curious, looking at Clara with something like trust for the first time. As the day settled, Sam sat on the porch steps, staring across the land. He didn't know it yet, but that fight had changed everything. The homestead wasn't just a house anymore. It was a line drawn in the dust, a promise made under the blazing sun. And this story, friend, is just beginning. So grab your coffee or your evening tea, lean back, and tell me where you're reading from right now. If you enjoyed this tale, please like and subscribe to keep these stories alive. The next part might just catch you off guard. The morning after the fight, the homestead felt calm again. The kind of calm that makes a man hope things might stay steady. Sam was repairing a fence by the shed, while Clara hung laundry in the sun. Lila chased a hen across the yard, giggling until she tripped over her own feet. It was the first time Clara heard her laugh like that. It made her smile without knowing why. Sam looked up from his work. "Keep her away from the shed. That mule's been skittish since yesterday." Clara nodded. Kids will be kids. It took only moments for Lila's curiosity to win. While Sam turned to grab a tool, the girl slipped toward the corral, a stick in hand, pretending it was a lasso. She climbed the gate and tapped the mule's side, whispering, "Get along." The mule didn't take kindly to it. Its head jerked up, rope snapped, eyes wild. In one swift motion, it kicked the gate open. The crash rang like a rifle shot. Sam spun around, shouting, "Lila!" The mule charged into the yard. Lila froze, too scared to move. Clara saw it unfold. She didn't think, didn't breathe. Dropping the laundry, she sprinted, faster than she thought possible. Just before the mule reached Lila, Clara dove, tackling her to the ground. The mule thundered past, so close Clara felt its breath graze her cheek. Sam grabbed a rope and ran after the animal, catching its reins before it hit the fence. He spoke low and calm until it settled. When he turned back, Clara was in the dust, holding Lila close. Sam walked over, breathing hard. "You okay?" Clara nodded, brushing dirt from Lila's hair. "We're fine." Sam crouched beside them, looking at Clara with something new in his eyes. "You might have been killed, both of you." Clara gave a tired smile, but it didn't. Lila clung to her, tears streaking her dusty face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Clara hugged her tighter. "No harm, kid. Just remember, even cowgirls gotta listen sometimes." That night, Sam left a folded quilt by her door. He didn't mention it, and she didn't ask. Some things were better left unsaid. The next morning, Lila placed her little wooden bird on the table by Clara's plate. "For you," she said softly. Clara smiled, eyes bright in the morning light. Maybe, just maybe, she wasn't a stranger anymore. But peace doesn't last long on the frontier, and what happened the next week would prove some storms come without warning. Days passed quietly after the scare with the mule. Clara found her place on the homestead. She rose before dawn, kept the fire going, packed lunches, and helped Lila with her letters each evening. The sound of her voice filled the house in a way Sam hadn't heard since illness took his wife. It wasn't love, not yet. It was something deeper, respect,
trust, a feeling they were meant to share this hard path for a while. Sam started leaving his coffee mug beside hers in the mornings. Lila stopped hiding behind corners and began asking Clara about the world beyond the plains. She answered what she could, though her own past was still half hidden. The days felt lighter, and even the brutal summer heat seemed gentler. One evening, Sam fixed a broken post by the garden. Clara helped, passing nails and holding boards steady. When they finished, the sky glowed soft orange. She looked out over the land and said quietly, "Ever think about leaving this place?" He smiled faintly. "Used to. Now I wonder who I'd be if I did." She nodded, thinking of all the miles she'd run, all the doors she'd knocked on. "Funny," she said. "I fled so long, I forgot what standing still feels like." He looked at her, eyes soft for once. "Maybe running's what brought you here." As Lila slept, Sam sat on the porch with a mug of coffee. Clara joined him, quiet for a time. Crickets hummed and the air smelled of dry grass and possibility. Sometimes a home isn't something you find. It's something that lets you stay when you've got nowhere else to go. Maybe that's what this story is about. Not heroes or villains, but people who choose to stay when leaving would be easier. So, what about you, friend? Have you ever found a place or a person that made you stop running? Or are you still searching? If this story stirred something in you, please like and subscribe to keep these tales coming. Share it with a friend, and let me know if you want to hear what happens next. Out here in the dust, even a simple story can make the world feel a little less lonely.